what the craft was. When I first saw it, I thought that this was a US-made, very advanced next-generation fighter, and in fact that this would explain all the UFO sightings.
Have you ever thought about whether or not we are the only ones in the universe? What if everything we know about aliens and UFOs is only the start of a much bigger story? We're about to talk about the Buga Sphere, which is one of the most amazing finds ever, as well as Bob Lazar's shocking confession, which could change everything we think we know about life on other planets. Take a seat, because the truth is about to get crazy. Watch through to find out more. The Buga Sphere. A strange object was found in a remote field in Colombia in 2025.
Witnesses in Colombia observed the object gliding with purpose until it struck high-voltage power lines and dropped to the ground. What they recovered wasn't just unusual, it was unlike anything we've ever seen.
It was metal and perfectly round, and experts haven't been able to figure it out since. These days, the Buga Sphere is known as a unique treasure. It's different from anything we've seen before. It's a smooth, shiny, basketball-sized ball with no joints or bolts, and no clues about how or who made it. It looks like it might be alien technology, but is it? What's even stranger is that something so advanced could be lying right here on Earth. The Buga Sphere's perfect form is the first thing that stands out. It's perfectly round, like it was made with a level of accuracy that only machines much more advanced than ours could achieve. It doesn't have any seams, marks, or tools that are easy to see that were used to make it. This was unknown to most experts. How could something so smooth and even exist if there is no sign that it was made by humans? The secret inside the sphere is another thing. Scientists were shocked to discover that inside the solid metal shell, there were tiny microspheres that were exactly round. There is nothing like these microspheres in any object that was made by humans. Everyone agrees that they do something, but no one can say what it is. Some people think they're part of a high-tech power system, while others think they're a way to store energy. They don't look like anything we've seen in nature or in technology that people have made. In every way, these microspheres are puzzling experts, which makes the object even more mysterious. To make things even stranger, experts looked at the Buga Sphere's parts in the hopes of finding out something about where it came from. They found that the elements inside the sphere don't naturally occur on Earth, at least not in the combos that are found inside the sphere. Isotopic research showed that the elements present aren't found in Earth's nature in a way that makes sense based on what we know now about science. So, if they aren't from Earth, could they be from another planet? Is it possible that this object is a piece of alien technology that got lost and ended up on Earth? Of course, the thought of alien technology isn't new, but when you find something real, like a physical object that you can't explain, everything changes. Let's talk about Bob Lazar now. Lazar has been one of the most talked about people in UFO studies for many years. In the late 1980s, he made the crazy claim that he had worked at a secret site near Area 51 to reverse engineer alien spaceships. He talked about working with technology that didn't make sense based on physics, such as a propulsion system driven by a substance called element 115. Lazar said that alien ships used this element to make gravity waves, which helped them move through space and pass through huge distances. The science community immediately didn't believe what he said, and they wrote him off as a hoaxer, but the Buga Sphere makes it look like Lazar may have been telling the truth the whole time. Lazar talked about a way to move things that used an element called 115, which was only thought to exist in theory at the time. In the year 2003, element 115 was made in a lab, even though it is very fragile and radioactive. However, this gives Lazar's story some weight, even though his claims were initially questioned. But element 115 isn't the only thing that links Lazar's work to the Buga Sphere. Lazar also talked about the advanced materials and energy systems that were used on the ship he worked on, and the Buga Sphere is a great match for what he said. The sphere's smooth, perfect surface, its strange nanoparticles inside, and its elemental makeup all fit too well with what Lazar has been saying for years. It looks like this might be the proof he looked for. The Buga Sphere is even more interesting because it fits so well with Lazar's tales of alien technology. It's almost like it's a real-life version of the ship he worked on. The high-tech materials and energy systems that Lazar wrote about are the same ones we see in the Buga Sphere. These are materials that are far beyond what humans can make. A lot of people think that Lazar's crazy claims are true because this object seems to show that the technology he talked about is real. There is no longer just an idea behind this. It can be studied, looked at, and analyzed. But why is this so important? Because if the Buga Sphere comes from another planet, it would prove that Lazar was telling the truth. It would mean that alien ships driven by element 115 and using technology we can't even begin to understand are not just made up, they're real. Lazar's testimony, which has been disbelieved for decades, might finally be proven true. This would have huge effects on how we think about technology, spaceflight, and life beyond Earth. What does this all mean for the future? If the Buga Sphere really is proof of alien technology, it could be the big step forward that people have been waiting for. There are a lot of new options though, so it's not just about showing Lazar that he was right. Could there be more things like this out there waiting to be found? Could we figure out how this technology works backwards one day and find out everything about the universe? There are a lot of options, and the Buga Sphere could be the key to getting them. What does Lazar have to say about this though? Is the Buga Sphere the proof he's been looking for? In the next part, we'll look at Lazar's own words, talking about his history with alien technology, the claims he's made, and how this discovery might finally prove him right. The Buga Sphere could be the link Lazar needed to prove everything he's been saying for years. This means that the mystery is just starting to come to light. Keep watching, because what Lazar really said may not be the end of the story. Bob Lazar's testimony. When you hear about Bob Lazar's story, you might wonder if it's from a movie or if it's about a real person who has been hiding in plain sight. In the late 1980s, Lazar made a claim that was so crazy and unbelievable that it shook science to its core. He said that he had worked at S4, a top-secret site close to Area 51, where his job was to figure out how alien spaceships worked. Lazar wasn't kidding when he said that the government might be working on alien technology. Most people would laugh at the thought. Lazar said that he was part of a group that had access to real alien ships that looked like flying saucers. These were not the usual UFOs you see in movies, though. Lazar said that their power system didn't just break the rules of physics, it made them all over again. Lazar called the fuel that the ships used element 115. He said this was a powerful element that was the key to their anti-gravity propulsion systems. It was basically this part that made a gravity wave that let the craft float, move, and cruise through space without doing anything. Lazar's explanations were very specific and technical, which made it hard to ignore them. However, for many years, standard science did just that. They laughed him off and called him a liar, a hoaxer, and a conspiracy fanatic. Let's break it down. At that time, element 115 didn't exist, even though Lazar said it was the fuel for these spaceships. It wasn't on the periodic table, and experts had never even tried to make it. But Lazar said he had seen it used in the power systems of the spaceship. To support his claims even more, he included information that only someone who worked on the technology would know. For example, he talked about how the propulsion system created a gravity field that almost made the craft weightless, and how the material around the spacecraft could be changed to control its movement. It wasn't until 2003 that element 115 was finally made in a lab. It was a really dangerous radioactive element, just like Lazar had said it would be. Could Lazar have been right about everything else? Lazar's claims become clearer when you look at the Buga Sphere. If what Lazar said about element 115 powering alien ships was true, the Buga Sphere, an extremely advanced object that could easily be confused for an alien craft, would become much more than just a strange thing. It could be proof. The microspheres inside the sphere could easily fit with how Lazar explained element 115-based systems that store energy and move things. The idea that the Buga Sphere is part of an alien ship or technology is linked to Lazar's story. The sphere might be proof of what Lazar worked on all those years ago. Could this be the proof he needs that his amazing story is true? Lazar may not have been telling a lie after all. The more we look into it, the more likely it is that he was setting up the truth all along. What did people around the world think of Lazar's claims? You would be wrong to think that everyone was waiting in line to believe him. The first time Lazar told his story, he was met with strong doubt. Everything he said was rejected by the government, and the media and scientists laughed at him. Many people saw Lazar as just another crazy person trying to get famous. But he was different from most conspiracy theorists because he knew a lot about S4, Area 51, and the power systems he talked about. He wasn't just saying vague or crazy things. He talked about things that somebody who had worked on alien technology would know. Lazar stuck to his story even though everyone laughed at it, and over time, some of the details he gave turned out to be strangely true. Lazar's story stayed on the edge of UFO lore as time went on, and his reliability was called into question many times. But the Buga Sphere's striking resemblances to Lazar's accounts of alien technology could be the turning point that proves his claims for sure. Could Lazar's idea finally be proven right after years of doubt? Is the Buga Sphere the actual proof that technology from other planets exists, just like Lazar said it would be years ago? What does this mean from now on? We will talk more about how the Buga Sphere might actually back up Lazar's work and whether this amazing find might finally prove that alien technology is real and that Lazar has been telling the truth the whole time. The Buga Sphere and Lazar's claims. When you look at the Buga Sphere, you can't help but think of the things that Bob Lazar talked about many years ago. It seems like Lazar's ideas weren't just crazy claims as you learn more about them. They might have been the truth hiding in plain sight. Let's break it down. Lazar always said that alien technology was made from metals that were much more advanced than what Earth could make. He talked about high-tech metals that are strong but light and can withstand strong gravitational forces. Scientists who have been looking into the Buga Sphere have found that it is made of a material that is not found on Earth. There are many complicated parts that shouldn't be able to live together. Because there are no seams or welds on the sphere, it looks just like Lazar's accounts of the UFOs he worked on. He said that the materials used to build the ships were so advanced that they almost looked like they could fix themselves. With its smooth outside and mystery inside, the Buga Sphere might be a real-life example of the kind of material Lazar talked about. But it's not just the stuff that lines up. The Buga Sphere itself does too. Along with what Lazar wrote in his own work, there are tiny specks inside the sphere that might each have a purpose. Lazar talked about how to change gravity and how to use element 115 as fuel in energy systems. The Buga Sphere's inside microspheres might be a part of a high-tech energy system, possibly connected to the anti-gravity propulsion Lazar talked about in great depth. These tiny spheres could be holding on to energy, absorbing it, or controlling the movement of the sphere. We don't know for sure yet, but the trends are hard to miss. Now, let's talk about element 115. Lazar's story has always been built around what he says about this part. He said it was the alien ship's power source, and that it sent out gravity waves that let the ships fly through space. Now, things start to get interesting. Scientists have been able to make element 115 in the years since Lazar first talked about it, but it is very unstable and doesn't last long. Still, Lazar's description of how it's used in systems that move things and make gravity waves hasn't gone away.
What happens with gravity and 115?
Element 115 affects gravity. Element 115 produces its own gravitational energy.
Could this part of the Buga Sphere's energy source be useful? The Buga Sphere has some strange features, like being able to store energy. having a smooth, nearly indestructible surface, and the patterns of materials inside it. These make it seem like it might be using a more advanced energy system, possibly one that fits with Lazar's idea that element 115 is a power source. If this sphere really came from another planet, then element 115 could be a part of its system, just like Lazar said all those years ago. Could this be the proof that Lazar's claims were not just ideas, but were based on real events? The Buga Sphere makes it look like Lazar was telling the truth more and more. There is no denying the parallels. There is a chance that Lazar's work wasn't fantasy, but rather an early look at something truly amazing, given the advanced materials, propulsion systems, and internal structure. But there is still one big question. Is this sphere the proof Lazar has been looking for? Could it really prove that alien technology exists, and that the government has been studying it behind closed doors? Maybe it's just a strange event that doesn't prove anything. Wait, let's think about this first. How does this find connect to what Lazar has been saying for years? Could this be the link that lets what he said and what we just found fit together? Lazar's final confession. Bob Lazar kept a secret for many years. Even though he felt a huge weight on his shoulders, he didn't want to speak out. He had seen and heard things that the world wasn't ready to hear. The scary truth is that our ideas about science, physics, and even the very nature of reality could be shattered by alien technology, reverse engineering extraterrestrial vessels, and aliens. Lazar didn't say anything right away, though. Instead, he kept the important information to himself and stayed out of sight, knowing that telling anyone could cause chaos, be laughed at, or even put him in danger. Lazar didn't say anything for a long time. The choice to keep quiet was made to stay alive and be safe. A lot of people already thought Lazar was crazy, and scientists didn't believe him because he was a conspiracy theorist. If he spoke out, he was afraid of what would happen to his job, reputation, and safety. There was always a part of him that knew his claims were at best debatable and at worst dangerous. If he told the truth about alien technology, it could destroy everything he knew, and the world wasn't ready for that kind of chaos. Lazar had to deal with the truth on his shoulders for years, which meant he had to keep quiet while the world went on without knowing what he had found. But Lazar changed in some way. As the years went by and he heard of more and more UFO reports and became more interested in strange things happening in space, he knew he could no longer stay quiet. It wasn't just to clear his name that Lazar decided to speak out now, after decades of quiet. It was for a bigger reason, to make sure everyone knew the truth before it was too late. There was finally a time for him to act that was right. In Colombia, Lazar found a strange object called the Buga Sphere. He thought it might hold the key to discovering the truth about alien technology. When Lazar learned this, he felt like he had to speak out and tell everyone what he knew. This was his last chance to make sure people were ready to hear the truth. Lazar's request, "Please listen to me before I die," is more than just a request. It's a cry for help, an emotional plea for everyone to finally hear him. The weight of years of anger comes from knowing that the truth has been out there, hiding in plain sight, but the world hasn't been ready to accept it. Little by little, Lazar comes to understand that the world needs to hear what he has to say right now. There is a chance that the Buga Sphere is proof of alien technology and life. Lazar wants everyone to know that we are not alone in the universe. His last confession isn't just about his own memory, it's also about the future of people and how important it is to tell the truth. The weight of Lazar's plea is heavy on my heart. It sounds like someone who has been carrying a heavy load for too long. Now that the Buga Sphere has been found, he thinks the world is ready to listen. What Lazar really wants is for the truth to change everything. He wants people to have a new perspective on science, technology, and even life itself. The moment Lazar finds the Buga Sphere, he knows that everything could change. Not just another UFO sighting or a movie that is hard to see. The Buga Sphere is concrete and real, and it could show that what Lazar has been saying for years is true. Lazar wants to make sure that the world doesn't ignore it in his last moments. Lazar's statement is a big deal. He has been ignored and made fun of for decades. People have thought that his claims about alien technology and reverse engineering alien spaceships were just the ramblings of a crazy person. But now that the Buga Sphere has been found, the truth can't be hidden anymore. With its strange materials and high-tech systems, this item seems to back up everything Lazar has been saying. His last confession is a plea for the world to pay attention to what's in front of them and think about the chance that they have been blind to the truth about life on other planets. But Lazar's statement isn't just to prove he's telling the truth. It has to do with the future. If the Buga Sphere is found, it will be the start of something much bigger than himself, right? This finding could have huge effects on the whole world. If the Buga Sphere is really from another planet, it might mean that we need to rewrite everything we know about science, technology, and our place in the world. Lazar wants to make sure that everyone is ready for that change and that people don't fear the truth. What does this last statement mean for everyone? Lazar's words aren't just a plea for approval, they're also a warning. A warning that the truth about alien technology and life on other planets could change the future of mankind in a way that can't be undone. The world has been given all the hints and signs, and now that the Buga Sphere has been found, everything is coming together. The key to understanding what happens next is Lazar's confession. But the question still stands. Will people be ready to accept the truth, or will they turn their backs on the biggest revelation of all time? We'll talk about how this confession might change how we think about UFOs and alien technology in the next part. We'll also talk about how the discovery of the Buga Sphere might be the start of a new era in human history. Are we ready to hear the truth? Maybe the next part of the story will answer that question. The dawn of a new era. When the Buga Sphere was found, it paved the way for something huge. Aliens, UFOs, and fuzzy videos have been the only things that people have talked about when they think about alien life for decades. Even though scientists are becoming more interested in UFOs, they have been slow to accept the idea that we are not alone in the world. But now that the Buga Sphere has been found, a real object that scientists don't fully understand, the talk is about to change forever. Together, Lazar's confession and this groundbreaking finding could cause a big change in how people around the world think about life beyond Earth.
I don't really keep abreast of all the UFO information, but and the reason that caught my attention is the craft looks exactly like the craft that I worked on.
In this case, it's clear what part the Buga Sphere played. This item not only backs up Lazar's long-standing claims about alien technology, but it also provides solid proof that such technology does exist. No longer can we say that UFO reports are fakes or just random events. The Buga Sphere tells us that there is something out there that we can't explain, and it has always been here on Earth. It was once thought that Lazar's work was just a bunch of fancy words, but now the finding of this sphere proves it. An idea that was once thought to be on the fringe is getting harder and harder to ignore. It's possible that the Buga Sphere is just the first of many such finds that will change the way we think about the universe. How this new proof is handled will have a big impact on the future of alien disclosure. When Lazar says he worked with alien technology and the Buga Sphere is proven to exist, it could be a turning point in history. The truth about alien life will no longer be kept secret and will be shared with everyone. There will be more and more pressure on governments and research groups to tell the truth about what they know. If the sphere really does come from space, it may be too late to keep things secret. Every government in the world has kept secret what it knows about UFOs for a long time. Now, they might have to admit what they've been hiding for so long. If Lazar tells them the truth, they might not be able to hide it anymore. Scientists will have to deal with a lot of problems as we move into this new phase of exposure. When scientists find technology from other planets, they have to rethink everything they thought they knew about physics, materials, science, and energy systems. Lazar's idea that element 115 could be used in power systems is just the start. If there is technology that can change gravity and move long distances in an instant, it will have huge effects on space exploration and technology in general. Imagine the big steps forward that could be made in transportation, energy generation, and even our understanding of how the laws of physics work. It's possible that the Buga Sphere is the key to these amazing prospects, but scientists will have to change the way they think about things and be open to the unknown and the strange. In terms of society, the Buga Sphere's finding and Lazar's confession could cause a big shift in how people think about UFOs and life beyond Earth. In the past few decades, most people have thought that alien life is a far-fetched idea that only appears in science fiction. But the Buga Sphere makes you think differently. It brings the truth of technology from other planets right up to our door. As soon as the truth comes out, it will be hard for anyone to hide. The idea that we may have already talked to beings from other worlds, and that we are not alone in the universe, will be hard for people to deal with. But what will people do? Discovering alien technology might be shocking at first, but over time, people might come to accept it as a normal part of life. There could be a change in how we think about going to space, the future of technology, and even our place in the world. The knowledge that we are not alone could bring people together in a new way. We will have to put aside our differences and work together as a species if we want to reach out to other cultures. The Buga Sphere and Lazar's statement could start a new era in human history in which we face the truth about life beyond Earth and explore the unknown together. So, the future of alien revelation isn't just proving that there is life on other planets. It's about being open to the big change this finding makes. The Buga Sphere and Lazar's confession could start a new age of scientific discovery, open government, and social progress. Truth no longer stays hidden in the dark. It comes to light in this new era. The world may finally be ready to accept that we are not the only clever beings in the universe after this. Thanks for watching. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video popping up on your screen to look deeper into the truth about extraterrestrial life.